Here's a leadership lesson that I learned from Walt Disney that I can give to you right now. You can apply into your business and you can see some more consistent and predictable growth. And so I'm out here in Orlando, Florida, and staying at this really, really awesome mega mansion. And I'm out here for a leadership event. And I am both speaking and leading some groups right now. And I'm also an active participant and I'm learning so much. And we had the opportunity to go to on a helicopter ride over Disney, and we were able to see things from a completely different perspective, literally, like above the noise, above everything. And we were also able to tour Magic Kingdom with a guide that knows everything about how Walt Disney grew Disney World, or really the company Disney, not Disney World, but the company of Disney, from pretty much nothing, from scratch, all the way up into the mega thing that it is now. And we toured Magic Kingdom, and it was super, super cool. And so during that tour, I was able to gain some really cool perspectives on how Walt Disney was able to take a concept like that and be able to grow it. And so for me, I found it super helpful, and I could see where I can directly apply and really double down and do better in these two areas. And I want to give these two areas to you right here, right now. So without further ado, let's go in. The first thing I want to say, and this will actually be a third. I wasn't planning on saying this, but I do think it'll help set up some context and it'll help you, hopefully, is that Walt Disney really embraced failure. And here's what I mean. Like his first, he's had many failures, I learned, but one of his first kind of animations that he thought was going to, go off really big was a bunny called Oswald. And if you see Oswald, he looks so similar to Mickey. Funny, right? How that happens. And Oswald wasn't really taken off like he wanted to. And it ended up getting kind of like, quote unquote, stolen from a partner investor that he had. And so he ended up having to pivot, which led him to Mickey Mouse. And so I want to say this right here is like sometimes we think what we're going to do is going to work, but it doesn't. We end up failing. But failure are stepping stones to your success. And when you can embrace failure, it's not something that's happening to you, not something to be afraid of, but something that's leading to your inevitable success, right? Just like with Walt Disney, his Oswald failed, but that led him to pivot and to create something that was ultimately a success, which is Mickey Mouse. So failure are the stepping stones to your success. But here's like going into the actual big kind of like, I say like lessons on that, not that I learned, but that I was reminded of, because I think all of us need to be reminded more than we need to be taught, right? And that was definitely true for me this week. But the first thing is vision, right? We've all heard the exercises, right? We've seen like write down your vision, write down your mission, write down your goals, blah 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 blah. And while those things can be helpful, right? The perspective that I gained really of looking at how Walt built everything that he built from his vision, it's still happening now today. Like everything, even this mansion that I'm standing in, it wouldn't be here if it wasn't for his vision. And so his vision still lives on without him, right? His legacy still lives on because of the vision that he painted. And so for any of us that are trying to grow a business, we're trying to grow a company, right? We want to actually help more people. Whether you want a small business that's doing maybe 6 figures a year, or you want a bigger business that's doing 7 or 8, doesn't really matter. The point is you still need a vision. And so for Walt Disney, he had a very clear vision on what he wanted. In fact, before he died, he had this concept called Epcot, right? Which what many people don't know is Epcot was actually stands for experimental prototype or protocol community of tomorrow, something like that. So basically he had this vision to where he wanted Epcot to be the community of tomorrow, the community that's always becoming. And it was a prototype that he was going to do to eventually launch these communities all over, right? And it never really obviously set out, and now it's just an amusement park. But nonetheless, he constantly had this vision, and he was always bringing people into it because he was very clear on that vision. He was very clear on his mission. He was very clear on the projects that he was working on. So I want to ask you, like, where in your business right now can you have more clear vision, right? Like for us, as an example here, to paint you a picture and like how I'm thinking through this is our mission is to create what we call the School of Impact. And the way I look at the School of Impact is similar to like, the movie X-Men with and then there's like, Xavier, right? Xavier has his own school for the mutants, right? And then in there, like all these mutants are trying to learn how to take their kind of like pain, right? Their power, their talent, and they're trying to learn how to actually turn it into something they can use. And he has the X-Men who have learned how to use their stuff, their powers. He has them teaching them. Well, my vision with the School of Impact is to be able to take us, right? Us as coaches, us as entrepreneurs, that maybe we're misfits, right? Maybe we have this pain that we've gone through in our lives. We have this talent, we have these gifts, but we're not really sure how to turn it into necessarily our purpose or really into a profitable business. And so that's what I see is, having this big online school, us being able to help 1,000 coaches every year, the ripple effect being helping 100,000 people every single year become better versions of themselves, whether it's healthier, happier, more fulfilled, more profitable, more just a richer life, right? And we do that by empowering coaches to know how to be able to communicate their messages in a powerful way that connect, captivate, and convert their audience, how to develop the skills needed to create a profitable business, how to create systems that attract clients so they don't chase, right? This is our big vision. This is our mission, right? And I can speak it clearly. So for you, I just ask you, wherever you're at in your journey, have something to where you can speak it out. It's clear to you, it's clear to people, and you're able to pull people into that. Right? Because when that vision, when that mission is aligned with values, it's aligned with your beliefs, it's aligned with what you feel called on this earth to do, you're going to find it is going to move mountains and pull people in. And then thirdly, right? Because I gave you an extra one at the beginning, right? The embrace failure. Clear vision. The third thing is going to be focus, right? And we've all heard this too, right? You got to focus more. But I truly believe focus goes far beyond just a character trait. I believe it's a skill. I think we have to learn focus and we have to be skilled, right? Walt Disney would not have accomplished what he accomplished if he didn't have that ability to focus in on the project that he was on and see it to completion. You can have a clear vision, you can embrace failure, but if you don't have the ability to focus on one thing long enough to see success, you don't really have that commitment down. You're never going to see it, right? And I think that happened. It's happened to me. It happens to a lot of us as entrepreneurs. Is we are on this path, but maybe we try this marketing strategy or that marketing strategy, and we're constantly bouncing around. We're trying this, we're trying that. We have 3 offers. We're all over the place. But your ability to take that vision and put it down into a focused execution, into a focused plan, to where consistently over and over again you could see it through until completion. That is a skill set, and your ability to do that is key. And I just released a video that you should see on the channel on my whole 4-hour workday and how I line up my projects and how I line up my tasks and how I take my vision and how I put it in there. So you can watch that video to be able to get some more insight into the tactical ways of how you could start to focus. But it was a big kind of oh my God, yeah, you don't need more, you just need to focus better, right? So absolutely key. I have so many more things that I can share with you, and I do, and maybe I'll create some separate videos. But I wanna end with this, right? Being able to see Walt Disney from this perspective, it just makes you want to dream bigger. It makes you see that the impossible can become possible, and you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. You truly can, right? If you have a talent, if you have a gift, if you have a message inside of you, you've got to learn how to use it, because you can achieve anything. If you want a 6-figure, 7-figure business, if you want to impact thousands or millions of lives, whatever it is that you want to create, you can create. It is possible for you. It is 1,000%. And if you're stuck in your head about how to make it happen, I'm telling you, just get started. Tell your story more. Get out there and just share your story, right? And I'll end with this. A handful of years ago, when I was 45K in debt, we just had a massive, failure, if you will. We franchised our gym and it just didn't work out. And I went 45K in debt. And I felt like giving up, I felt like a failure as a father. In fact, my daughter was just born, right? So as a new father, I felt like just a terrible human. I remember sitting in my truck one day, just bawling my eyes out, just crying, staring in the rearview mirror, thinking that I'm just a terrible father. I can't even provide for my family. And it was really tough. And I remember in that moment, I was I remember hearing some of my clients back at my gym, they would tell me Jason, you're a good motivational speaker, because I was doing group boot camps for them. And so I was like, all right, let me go try to speak. Let me see if I could just go speak. So I remember the first speaking event I ever had, it was I was talking to kids about vegetables. In fact, I think I was a broccoli or something like that. Right. And I didn't get any clients from it, but I remember going and speaking again. This time it was to adults. Then I went and I was able to speak at the Chamber of Commerce. and in front of like 100 people. And I just kept going and kept speaking more. And eventually I got on TV. And in fact, one of the television shows that interviewed me was Telemundo, and I don't speak any freaking Spanish, so it was kind of weird. They had to cover up my whole everything with like subtitles. And then I ended up, getting onto the show, American Ninja Warrior. I was able to keep going because I had built the confidence, but it all rooted from me just sharing my story, me just sharing my passion, me just sharing what inspires me, and just trying to help people every leg of the journey. So if you're like not really sure where to start, you're not getting a lot of traction right now in your business, I'm going to encourage you, right? Failure's a stepping stone. So I failed in the franchise, but I used it as a stepping stone, and then I just went out there, right? I had a vision for helping people, right? It wasn't as clear as it is today, but I had a vision for helping people, and I was able to focus on one thing. I got out there and I started speaking. I started telling my story. I started sharing my heart. I started sharing my passions. And that's what led to more and more people into my world. So I'm going to leave you with that, right? If you're not really sure like how to make this all happen, just get out there, start sharing that story, start sharing your mission, start sharing your vision, start sharing your passion, start sharing where your heart lies. I'm telling you right now, like that's a stepping stone to build momentum, to start getting things into action. And you will see a lot of success that comes from that. So my friend, if you have any questions, please let me know. Drop them in the comments. If you found this video helpful, click subscribe, and that way you can get notified when there's more. And as always, remember this, your message matters more than it ever has before. Don't be afraid to speak it. As always, be seen, be heard, and be impactful.